I was in a car crash, and sadly, I died, but I lived. All jokes aside, the car was damaged from this collision, not me. Thank goodness. Absolutely could have been much worse, so I'm grateful that I lived and that I'm healthy and still able to talk and make videos and annoy people with my opinions on the internet, because that's what living is all about. But essentially what happened was just a few seconds ahead of me on the freeway, two cars collided. I did not even get a great view on how it happened, but it kicked up a bunch of dust, and as you can see in the dash cam, it's not really clear what was going on. I just saw dust kick up, and if I slammed on the brakes every time I saw dust going across the road, I never would get anywhere, because at least in this stretch of highway that I was driving on, which I'm very familiar with, I drive on it all the time, there's often people with tractors, there's farmers, there's people on quad runners, so dust getting kicked up and drifting across the freeway is a very normal thing, which is why I didn't immediately stop just because there was dust on the road. But the dust sadly covered up a bunch of road debris from the collision ahead of me, which sadly was a lot more dangerous and a lot more painful for everybody involved, but I won't go into the specifics for it. No one died or anything, but people were obviously hurt, and the debris from the collision ended up instantly popping two of my right tires. So this was late at night. I had been driving for like 4 hours. I hadn't had dinner yet, and I was really hungry. I was in a bad mood, so this obviously didn't help the situation. So I pulled off the freeway and pulled into some guy's driveway, and he was very nice, very respectful, and said I could leave the car there as long as I needed to. But because it was so dark, there were no street lights and there was no moonlight, it was very hard to see what kind of damage was done to the vehicle. And I called Tesla roadside assistance, and they were asking if there was body damage, and this is really where the mistake lied on my part. I couldn't see very clearly any body damage, but I did see slight panels come out of alignment, so I just figured, yeah, I guess there's body damage, and that was a big mistake on my part, because as soon as I said that, Tesla roadside wanted nothing to do with me. They said, we can't help you with body repairs. The Tesla service center will not touch any kind of vehicle with body damage. You need to file a Tesla insurance claim and go through them to get a tow truck and to tow the vehicle to a certified Tesla body shop. So I was like, oh geez, okay. So I called Tesla insurance to file a claim. They said they need a police report. I talked to the police officer, who of course is far more focused on the people who were actually injured in the collision. It was debatable whether or not I was involved, because technically my vehicle wasn't necessarily hitting another vehicle or didn't get hit by another vehicle, but there was some pretty serious damage done to my vehicle. It was not just the tires popping. It was also, which I found out much later, the wheels had been damaged, huge punctures in the rear rim, and the front rim was actually dented, which I didn't find out until Tesla eventually looked at it. But thanks to my good friend Rivian Mike, who came out to kind of assess the situation and give me some tips, he instantly popped the panels back in alignment, was like, Drew, stop saying you have body damage. Obviously, you don't have any kind of major body damage. There may be a slight scratch on the bumper, but again, I needed this car back as soon as possible, and Rivian Mike wisely told me that if you take this thing to a body shop, you could easily not have the car for weeks at a time. Then you have to go through insurance to get a rental car. I didn't want to fuss around with all that. So we just called roadside assistance in the end and just ended up saying, okay, you know what? There's no body damage. We just need a tow. My wife came and got me with the old gas car, because Tesla insurance, when I was trying to file the report, said they couldn't find any approved tow truck services in the area. It was late at night. I wanted to go home. I wanted to go to bed. I wanted to eat anyway. So we didn't tow the Tesla immediately. But the next day, when we could finally assess the damage in daylight, it was clear that it was more than just a tire problem. So they towed it to Tesla service center. Tesla looked at it, told me not only are the wheels damaged, because they put on brand new wheels that weren't mine, of course, to test the vehicle, and they still felt wobble. So they discovered there were issues with the ball joints as well. So we had new wheels that I needed to buy, of course, new tires. Thankfully, there was already 45,000 miles on the tires I was driving on, so they were probably due to be replaced anyway. They probably didn't have a huge lifespan ahead of them, although there was still some tread left. What I can tell you from experience now that I would advise if anybody's going through a Tesla service experience in the future is that whoever you text on the phone, whether it be Tesla Insurance or Tesla Service, usually whoever you text isn't as helpful as people that you get to meet in person. There's just some kind of communication that gets lost, and a lot of people don't understand exactly what you're asking for, at least in my instance, because the annoying thing about going through Tesla roadside is that they will only send out a tow truck to come and get you if you agree to pay for all of the service to be done by Tesla. And initially, I didn't know there was other ball joint damage and wheel damage. I just thought I was gonna need new tires initially, and when I was texting them, I kept saying like, okay, can I just buy 2 new tires? And these tires from Tesla were very expensive. They were telling me it was gonna be close to $400 per tire. So I kept saying, okay, can I just buy 2 of those tires and you take my good rear left wheel and put it on the front? And they said, no, we don't offer that. You have to buy 4 new tires from us, which were way more expensive than the tires I was finding that would have fit my car from, you know, Les Schwab, Big O, America's Tire. Really, any other third-party place would have had cheaper tires, but they kept insisting that I had to buy the tires from them in order for the tow truck to come and get me. So that was obviously quite frustrating. Once I actually got there and dropped off the car and started talking to the service guys, they actually were a lot more understanding. So they were like, yeah, of course, we can take your good wheels that are still working and put those on the front. You don't have to buy new tires for the front because I actually still had quite a bit of tread on them, despite them having 45,000 miles. What can I say? I'm a featherfoot. And then once they gave me the cost breakdown of everything, you have to file a Tesla insurance claim, and that actually reduces the parts pricing by about 50%. That's when they told me, yeah, okay, you can just buy 2 new rims, because obviously I had 2 damaged ones, and 2 new tires, and they were actually not $400. They were under $300, so they were much more affordable than I initially was expecting. So again, miscommunication happens a lot when you're going through text. Even through the phone, most of the Tesla insurance agents are way out in another state, so they just don't feel very connected to the situation. But within about 6 days, Tesla had finally done the repairs, tested it, and I got the car back, and for the most part, everything was running smoothly. The suspension felt fine, the wheels felt smooth. I got brand new Michelin tires now, which is funny because the front tires that were delivered with my car are Hankook, and I got Michelin's in the back. I don't know, it doesn't seem to cause any problems, but the weird part is that my wife actually noticed before I did, the steering wheel is not perfectly aligned. So the story is unfortunately still going, so I've had to schedule a follow-up appointment, but I didn't really have time to take it back to that service center because we got road trips and I got a ton more driving to do because of my job, and we've got family in town, so I'm picking up people from the airport and stuff. So I did not want to have this car sitting in a body shop or even at a service center for weeks on end. So I've scheduled a follow-up appointment that's actually taking place while I'm on my road trip because I'm visiting family and they're actually much closer to a service center I'll be checking out. So hopefully they're able to fix the steering wheel, which is just ever so slightly. You know, when the car's going straight, the wheel's a little to the right, and then when I straighten the wheel, the car drifts a little bit to the left. So based on the documents they gave us, I'm pretty sure the wheels themselves are aligned. It's just the steering wheel that somehow during the repair process has been misaligned. It was definitely not like that before it went in for service. Maybe that was part of the damage, I'm not sure, but the total repairs after filing an insurance claim ended up costing about $1,870.88. I've actually also had some other things come up with my Model 3 that are not major, and because I drive so much, I didn't want to put it in for service, but I just crossed the 45,000 mile mark on my car, which means within a couple of months, I'm basically gonna be out of the vehicle warranty. So because of that, we're fixing my daytime running light on the headlight. I think that involves just an entire headlight replacement. The headlights themselves work fine. It's just that little strip of light that just lets you know that the car is on, or just a light that's there when you're parking. I notice one side is a little dimmer than the other, but when you're driving at night and stuff, yeah, they still get plenty bright. They still function, so if this was out of warranty, I probably wouldn't pay to replace that headlight, but because the car still is in warranty, I want them to fix that. We also have some squeaks coming from the driver's side of our dashboard that the service center is going to look at, but overall, I think there's mostly just a lot of miscommunication that goes on with Tesla, and once you actually get to the service center and can start talking to someone, usually the service gets a lot more productive and they're very understanding and very respectful. Everybody who I interacted with in person was very helpful and very great, and I appreciate all the time they put into my vehicle. They're very understaffed from what I can tell. They basically had 2 guys working at a shop that's servicing 60 vehicles a week or something like that. So they clearly are doing the best they can with what they have. Hopefully Tesla actually lets them hire hire some more people because they seemed very backed up to me. But I'm grateful that they gave me a loaner. But that's the funny thing. When I texted Tesla, they wouldn't offer me a loaner. Once I got there in person and said, hey, this is kind of like my only car and my wife is using the other one, so I kind of need a car now for me to continue working, they said, okay, yeah, we'll set you up with a loaner, and that's why I did that whole last video. But again, they wouldn't offer a loaner when I was texting in. So many problems get resolved when you're actually face-to-face with a person, which is why I suggest Tesla, please beef up the service team. I know you're trying to cut out the fat in the company, but having more people in the service team I think is extremely beneficial to getting more cars on the road. And if you don't want to do that, my next best wish would be, you've got a lot of vehicles in inventory now. You kind of caught up on the demand. If you're going to reduce the headcount of the service team, you should absolutely just flood all of the service centers with loaner vehicles. I'm a lot more patient if I'm not driving my own car, you know? If I have to drop off my car and it's going to take a week to repair, but you just loan me one, then yeah, that's great. I get to try out a car with better features or better range than the car I had. You can include full self-driving for free or free supercharging with those loaner vehicles. That's probably cheaper than hiring a trained service technician, so I don't really see how that goes against what Tesla's going for, but I think it's a great idea to just really double down on, as long as your car is in our shop, you'll have another Tesla that's probably better than the one you have to drive around and you can use as much as you want. So I was very grateful that they set me up with that loaner, and I had a lot of fun with it. I got a fun video out of it, but the turnaround time of 6 days is honestly pretty impressive considering there's only a couple of guys in the area working on all of these different cars at once. I'll keep you posted if anything changes after my next service visit, but overall, yeah, a lot of miscommunication and a lot of confusion over text, but face-to-face, that's really when everything starts to work better. Also, I think this could have gone a lot smoother if Tesla actually sold rims, you know, the wheel itself, not just the tire, to third-party shops, because once I found out that rim was damaged, it was like, can I take this to any other third-party place to get it worked on for cheaper? And the answer was basically no, because Tesla's the only company that has those rims in stock, unless you want to buy those rims on Facebook Marketplace or eBay and fix it yourself. But I thought about doing that, but then after finding out that the ball joints were bad too, very grateful I didn't attempt to fix it myself. I'm no expert in that field, but there you have it. That's my Tesla service story. I've been driving the car several hundred miles since getting it back, and other than the steering wheel misalignment, it's great. We're back in business. What are your guys' experiences like with Tesla service? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.